Hello, and welcome to another Monday afternoon live, actually. And today, I'm really excited that I've got Dr. Joe Baldwin talking to us today. And we're going to be talking about how do we stretch ourselves out of our comfort zone on social media. Something that I know is relatable to everybody, particularly when you first start your journey out in social media. So thanks everybody for watching us today. I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and I train businesses how to effectively use social media to generate new leads. And today we've got a fabulous live guest. Normally I'm live 12:30 every Monday, although not for the next 3 weeks because there's bank holidays and Easter getting in the way. So if you are watching live, please do say hello, introduce yourselves, tell us who you are. And if you've got any questions throughout the live stream, do let us know. And even if you're watching this on catch up, put some questions in the comments below and we can get back to you after the live stream as well. So please give this video a like. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. And then in the meantime, I'm going to hand you over to Joe. And to introduce yourself, Joe, and tell us who you are.
Sure. Hi, Bex. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to talk to your group today. I'm Joe of Dr. Joe Baldwin Coaching. The doctor part is because I was formerly a hospital doctor. I used to work in obstetrics and gynecology. But for me, by the time I was expecting baby number 2, the conflicting demands of the 100-hour weeks and looking after small children at home in the way I wanted to bring up my family just meant that I was sort of struggling really with how to get that work-life balance right. And I started to realize I was heading for burnout. So I took what was supposed to be just a career break from medicine, but ultimately I never actually returned. And then a few years ago, I had some coaching for myself after a couple of little dips in the road had me feeling quite low. And I found that coaching was completely revelationary, transformative for me, and realized just how useful it was, and thought that I could bring some of my previous medical skills to bear with that. And so retrained as a coach and set up the business just about a couple of years ago now. So I'm now working as a women's mindset coach, helping women to make positive change, navigate different transitions in life that come along our way, and work towards achieving goals and creating impact, really.
And today you're going to be sharing some very valuable tips, aren't you? Because a lot of what you do is coaching people, isn't it, out of the comfort zone, giving that little bit of confidence. And one of the things that I know a lot of people on social media, they're all over social media, but they're not necessarily confident enough to put themselves out there, are they?
Absolutely. It's that sort of I think there's a couple of things at play here. There's that negative inner voice, the inner critic that is telling you you're not good enough and comparing you to other people, usually in a negative way. And then there's a concept called the imposter syndrome, where people sort of have this feeling that they're going to be found out, that they're going to be sort of found to be a fraud, and that they've only got to where they've got to by some sort of luck or chance, that they haven't got there on their own merit. And that particularly, it affects all people, but it particularly seems to affect women, and it particularly seems to affect high achievers, perfectionists. So there's this sort of lack of self-belief in ourselves, really.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that sort of perfectionist. And I know when I first launched my business, nearly 4 years ago now. And the first time I actually, and even though I'm a social media trainer, the first time I actually put a post out there to say, oh, I'm Bex, I'm going to be delivering social media training, I was sweating. I was really nervous because I was just thinking, what are people going to think? You know, my background, 20 years in the environmental sector, although I had worked for a long period of time at No My Games running all their social media for them. It's just like, people are just going to think, who is she to be delivering something like this? Yeah. And it was, very, very, very nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. And the same for me. And it feels as though the whole world is watching. It feels as though the whole world is going to read whatever you've written. And one little tip that really helped me recently was that somebody said, you remember the old days of print newspaper? Some of us still read print newspaper.
Yeah.
But today's newspaper is tomorrow's chip wrapper.
Oh,
And that sort
okay.
of struck home with me that, yes, whatever you've put out there into social media, yes, it's there if you want to scroll back through somebody's page, but it's sort of here today, gone tomorrow. And people will have read it and digested whatever they want from it and moved on from it, really. And for those who aren't interested, they're not your clients and they will have just moved on anyway. So that for me was quite a good tip.
Yeah, and I think people forget that. They think once it's gone out on social media, it's there for everybody to see. When in actual fact, it just scrolls down that timeline and disappears, doesn't it? And if you don't get many likes or you don't reach many people, then hardly anyone's actually seen it. And, no one's really, not many more people are ever going to see it.
Yeah.
Unless you're very good on, Instagram or TikTok or YouTube with the searches, they hang around a little bit more. But Twitter, for example, most tweets hang around for about 15 minutes and that's it, they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's about encouraging people to use social media as a bit of a test bed for content, isn't it? Putting stuff out there that some people won't like, because it's just going to disappear.
Yeah.
Unlike your
and
website.
some of the things that, again, I think people forget that if you are an expert in your field, whatever that might be, not everybody knows what you know. So I feel that I'm saying sometimes the same old, and I think everybody knows this, but they don't. And sometimes it's a good reminder when I do say something to somebody and I see this sort of light bulb moment happening and I think, oh yeah, not everybody knows this because not everybody's working in my field. And you'll get that with the social media tips. Not everybody knows what you know. So think about the value that you're offering to people rather than sort of keeping it all to yourself.
Yeah, you do absolutely take for granted your knowledge, don't you? I know when I'm running my workshops, I always think, right, go back to basics. And sometimes, I try and cram so much information in there because I've got so many tips and information I want to share that actually sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. Whereas just repeating one key point numerous times on your social media is sometimes a lot more effective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Saying it in different ways, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're really crippled with the sort of whole anxiety and that stepping out of your comfort zone, so we're told, aren't we, that it's good to step out of the comfort zone, that staying there is keeping you small and keeping you safe, and that's because we have this inner critic whose job it is to keep us safe. But partly it's the fact that the brain is lazy. So your brain uses up a massive amount of energy just to keep the regular bodily processes up and running every day. So when you add in extra burdens like summoning up some courage or dismissing those negative subconscious thoughts and building your resilience, this all requires extra energy resources. So the brain would just rather take the path of least resistance. It would rather not have to find all that extra energy. So the brain is trying to keep you safe. It has good intentions, but they're not necessarily in line with modern life. So the brain hasn't really evolved from our caveman days when there were threats such as, a saber-toothed tiger chasing us down. We don't need to run away from saber-toothed tigers anymore, but the brain still perceives any small risk or threat as something as big as that. The brain is negatively biased, if you will. It always expects the worst. And then there's another factor about what makes it so difficult to step out of comfort zone. And it's because it makes us feel discomfort, uncomfortable. So if you think about that feeling of discomfort when you're trying something new, perhaps something that's a little bit risky, think what is it that for you would make you feel like that? Would it be, I don't know, standing up and making a speech at a wedding, giving a presentation at work, post? How much discomfort will you actually feel and how long will it last for? So Farah Storr, who was the editor of Elle magazine for some time, she coined a phrase, brief moments of discomfort, BMDs. And
Okay.
she suggested that to push through and push out of the comfort zone, you've just got to push through a brief moment of discomfort. She describes them as like high intensity interval training, HIIT training.
I was going to say, yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I'm just going to do 1 minute of horrendous exercise and then that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know it's going to be really hard. It's going to really hurt, maybe, you know, that 1 minute of cycling on the Peloton bike, all out, eyeballs bulging, you know, for 1 minute. But then you'll get to rest and just think about how you feel once you've achieved that. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So she talks about just considering it's just a BMD. I've just got to get through a brief moment of discomfort. And then the more and more you do them, you realize that nothing in life is insurmountable, that you can always get through a challenge just by keep repeating these, you know, relatively small, even if they are uncomfortable tests.
And I think one of the biggest things that I find with my clients, because I just say to all my clients or people that come on my workshops, I just say, look, you know, this social media malarkey, it's all very well putting out a load of sales posts, you know, and you can write sales posts, and that's quite easy to do sometimes, isn't it? Because you're hidden behind the business brand. But actually, if we really want to connect with people and build a community on social media, it's about the people within that business. But the minute I sort of say to people, right, I want to see a picture of you on your business pages, on your social media, and some clients are just go, what? Oh, I can't do that, you know, and it's just too nerve-wracking, really. So how would you suggest, you know, people get over that sort of bit, like just do it? Or
there is a bit of do it, but I think there's a little bit of if you think about, obviously we're in a service providing sort of industry, you and I, both of the things we do. So we haven't got a product as such to demonstrate, have we? I can't put a picture of coaching. It's an intangible. So what you need
apart
is
from my wall calendar, obviously.
Well, you've got your wall calendar. Yeah, absolutely. So that's great.
Yeah,
but it's the person, isn't it, in our industry? It's the person delivering that service that you want to know about. So if you think about the adverts on TV, there's usually a product involved. So they've got, you know, images of that product all over, and that's what you want to see. But if it's somebody, some person that you're basically buying into, you want to see that person. So getting good photography, getting some decent, you know, brand photography, headshots in the first instance, something that has been done well and that you're happy with, and then you're happy to have that you know, used in social media. That was the first one for me. I'm rubbish at taking selfies, absolutely rubbish. Most of the time I'm, you know, not looking at my best. I'm slopping around the house in sweatpants and what have you. And you want to project a certain professional sort of image. So for me, getting some brand photography done at first was a really good starting point.
That's a really good idea, actually, because, and also your photographer will help you to build that confidence, because you know, if you take a picture yourself, you're never going to be happy with it. We all hate looking at ourselves, don't we? So that's a really good tip, actually, about getting a professional, someone who can really sort of build your confidence and get the lighting right. We were having a discussion earlier, weren't we, Joe, before we went live? The lighting in mine is terrible at the moment. I need to change it, whereas yours is fabulous. So yeah, just to add that little bit of confidence, and make sure you have got makeup on. I mean, and do your hair. Obviously, if you're a man, you know, make sure your hair's nicely cut so you feel confident. And it's that saying, isn't it? Always wear your best underwear. No one's ever going to see it, but you feel more confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then once you've done it once, like you mentioned, doing it the next time is not quite as hard. And then the next time you do it, and honestly, everybody who actually managed to achieve putting a picture of themselves out there on social media are normally blown away by the response, because people know and love you. It's like you said, it's about building that trust, isn't it? People are much more likely to stop scrolling through the news feed if they see someone they know
Yeah.
rather than if it's just a sales pitch.
Or use a prop like your pet, because I've noticed if I've ever put a picture of
Yeah.
me with my pet, that's always had a really good response.
Yeah.
Yeah, people respond to animals, don't they? So
Yeah. No,
that's
they
usually a
do.
good one.
But
And
you
the other
do.
one is just don't get too attached to the outcome. You know, once the post is out there, you've done your bit, you've offered your knowledge, your expertise, your value. Yes, you'll go back and look at comments because you might reply to some of them that might add further value, but don't get too hung up on the outcome, the likes and engagements and that sort of thing. There are lots of lurkers out there. There are lots of people who see your content but don't necessarily comment. So your content is being seen by more people than you would imagine.
Yeah.
And often the people that will come to you haven't necessarily been the people putting the likes and the comments and the shares, but they've been quietly watching from the sidelines. They've been taking in everything that you've had to offer. And at some point they've made that decision. Yes, this is right for me. Yes, I want to look into this further.
Yeah, I know, and you're absolutely right. Most of my business inquiries come from people I've never heard of, and you find people who will like and comment. They know you, but they also want to get their names out, so they're liking and commenting as well. But those people who are genuinely interested in what you've got to say often just observe from the background, and when they're ready to take you on your services, your products, that's when you discover them, and it's amazing. It's like, oh, where did you hear from me? Oh, well, I've seen all your content for the last 18 months, and now I'm in a position to buy, you know, and now I know I need your service. And it's amazing. It's just persevering, isn't it?
Sure.
And procrastination, that's a big one, isn't it?
It is a big one. First of all, I think it's important to get clear on what do we mean by procrastination as opposed to prioritization. So procrastination literally means putting off till tomorrow. But I think it's putting off something important till tomorrow or whenever.
Okay. Yeah.
When we prioritize, we might put something off because actually it's not so important at the moment. So we're getting our things in order. So that's prioritization. Procrastination is actually something important that should be done, but we're putting it off for whatever reason. And then there's another sort of difference, which I think is worth mentioning, and that is energy management. So sometimes we put things off, we procrastinate, we postpone because we're just tired. We just haven't got the energy for doing whatever that thing is. And that's really important. And that's actually something I'm doing a lot of work on at the moment, talking to people about managing their time and energy appropriately to get things done effectively, but without being in that constant sort of state of stress. So still being effective, still getting the job done, but with more ease and flow. So it might be that you don't have the energy. It's not that you don't have the energy for doing something. It perhaps is that you don't have the right energy for it at that moment. And I think certain tasks fall into certain sort of energy categories. And it might be that Monday morning isn't the morning for sitting down and doing social media for you. You're not quite in your stride yet. Perhaps Monday afternoon is the afternoon where you need quiet time and you're focused on doing detailed work like spreadsheets and your accounts and that sort of thing. So get in tune with what energy do you need to bring to doing a task. So like social media, there's an element of being creative, being inspired, bringing that sort of self-confidence forwards. So what kind of energy state do you need to be in to do that? And book a time in your week for it and sort of preserve that time. It's almost like making an appointment with yourself. If you've made an appointment with somebody else, you wouldn't break that appointment. So don't break the appointment with yourself. Make yourself as valuable as the time you would give to anybody else.
Yeah.
So figure it out. Figure out what type of energy you need to bring. What might you need to get yourself into that state, and book that time for yourself to do it.
And I think that's really important. I mean, I know I've taken on board some of your tips as I've been following you over the last couple of years. And I think that's one of the biggest tips I've taken on board, is that I know I've got high energy in the morning. So I now look at my report writing, all my social media posts. I can bang out in about 5 minutes 4 social media posts. I'll just draft them onto Word, bang 4 out. And I feel quite positive about it. Whereas if you then ask me to do it at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm exhausted and I've run a couple of training sessions, I'm like, oh, it'd probably take me 15 minutes just to write one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another one is that we often procrastinate or put things off if it's an unpleasant task. So if writing social media for you feels an unpleasant task, that's why you might keep putting it off. So there's a concept called eating the frog.
Yeah.
So it might be that you decide the first task of every day is going to be an eat the frog type of a task, that you get the most difficult or the most unpleasant task out of the way, and then you can breathe a sigh of relief and get on with whatever the rest of the day has in store for you.
And then you feel really proud of yourself as well, don't you?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I've done that, rather than it hanging over your head for the whole day going, oh, I've got to do this later.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then I think the final one is perfectionism. That's another one that gets in the way and causes us to procrastinate. That, we want things to be absolutely perfect. And for people that have been high achieving, people pleasing, perfectionists all their life, like I have, that was a big one, really. And it's that sort of learning to accept that good enough is good enough, or done is better than perfect. Done and good enough is better than not done at all. So perhaps future pace, what would not quite perfect look like for you? So if you were to write a post and it wasn't really just quite 100%, but you're going to walk away from it and say, no, good enough. How would that feel? How would you cope with that? How could you work through that? Accept in advance that you're going to accept it. So accept in advance that however you feel, you're going to walk away from that post, because good enough is good enough.
Yeah. And that you've done it. And also, like you said before, it is always good enough, because you can rewrite the same post with the same message, but tweak it slightly so that next time it's even better.
Things can evolve, can't they?
Absolutely. And should evolve and be repeated. And I always say, use social media as a bit of a test for some of the messages you're putting out there. What works, what doesn't work. Learn from those posts that do really badly. That's brilliant, because you've learned that doesn't work, and you wouldn't have learned that otherwise.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a case of sort of making a decision. Again, procrastination has us getting quite paralyzed and frozen, really, with fear, and we lose all momentum. We get into that state of inertia. And sometimes it's just a case of taking a decision or taking action, any decision, it doesn't matter. It's a bit like when you're going round a great big, one of those multiple exit roundabouts. You've got the sat nav on and it's telling you to turn off at the third exit, but you're not quite sure. There are so many turn-offs. And I think I've missed the third exit. And you end up going round and round the same roundabout. And the sat nav's always just a second behind where you are.
Yeah.
Just take an exit, any exit, it doesn't matter, because you'll get some feedback. If it's the A49 you need and you realise this isn't the A49, you can always do something about it. You can always make a U-turn. You can always go back. You can always, repeat the process. And that's a bit the same in life, in all aspects, really. Just take action, any action, and look at what feedback you get and work according to the feedback.
And you can always edit that social media post, unless it's a tweet, in which case, if it's that bad, you can delete it.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. That is really interesting. Thanks, Joe. And you've got, I know for busy women who are struggling with these sort of time and energy and just really need to sort of get the head focused around putting a plan in place, you've got a workshop as well that's coming up, haven't you?
I have, yes. 27th of April. It's an in-person workshop, which I'm really excited about, because we've done such a lot over Zoom, and it has played its part. It has been an absolutely wonderful resource for us for the past couple of years. But I think there's nothing more special than actually being in the room face to face with people, and getting that sort of collaboration and magic from people sharing with each other. So in person, Wednesday, the 27th of April, 1:30 till 4 at Lynn Business Centre. Time and energy strategies for busy women. So if you're completely frazzled and overwhelmed by the never-ending to-do list, don't know how to prioritize your time effectively, or always feeling like you haven't got enough energy for things, I've got a whole load of tips and tools to help with that.
Brilliant. And I've just put the link in the comments as well. And in fact, so I think you'll have to put your name on it. Facebook user, for some reason, StreamYard's not coming up with your name, but you've got a booking already.
Lovely. Yeah. So go to that booking link there.
Thank you. Okay. And also, I know you mentioned as well, you've got some tips as well. Oh, it's Esther. I thought it was you, Esther, to be honest.
Oh, brilliant.
Hi, Esther. Esther makes fabulous chocolate. So
Absolutely does.
Please do follow her Facebook and social media. Gola Treasures Chocolate. It's fabulous. In fact, Esther, put a link in the comments so that everyone can click through and buy your chocolate to bring with them to the workshop, and you can all eat chocolate together.
Good idea.
And you've got you've actually got a really useful resource, haven't you, as well, Joe? It's sort of 10 tips for getting out of your comfort zone, which I think would really help people who's watching today's video as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that applies to getting out your comfort zone no matter what sort of aspect of life we're talking about, not just the social media. And there's a whole load of things in there that I haven't even touched upon today. So if you want that, just email me. I think Bex is going to put my email address into the comments. Just email me for that and I'll send that out to you. That's just in a PDF format.
Yeah, so there you go. There's Joe's email address. So again, if you've got any more questions or need any help, Joe does one-to-one coaching as well as group coaching. Please do give her a shout. And I'd just like to say a huge thanks, Joe, because I always get so many good tips off you. And I've put a lot of them into practice because it's hard. We're not going to pretend it is hard working for yourself, growing a business. And you do need someone there who's got your back and who can help you take a step away and look at things a bit more holistically, and make you realize where you need to sort of improve your working day and improve your mindset more than anything, isn't it?
Absolutely. I just think it's really important to surround yourself with really supportive people, whether that's somebody like myself as a coach, or in my case, you, who helped me with all my social media when I was first setting up. But other people in general, people that just have your back when it's not been a good day, or understand what it is that you're trying to do. Just have that supportive network behind you. That's really, really important.
Yeah. And even your family. My daughter told me yesterday she was going to be locking my office door because I work from home. It will now be locked from 5 p.m. every weekday and will be shut at weekends. So people see it, but the people around you see those things, don't they? Where you need to help, you need to improve more so than you would yourself.
I think because there's sort of blurred lines now, isn't there, between our working day and our sort of home life. The fact that we are accessible 24 hours a day by email and messages and what have you. Are you going to be constantly picking up emails and responding to those pings of those notifications till late at night? And I think the people nearest and dearest to us see that, and see that we're not always present for them, and see perhaps the stress that it's causing us. And it's those people who sort of, bring us back to reality and sort of say, let's draw a line here. Let's call 5 o'clock the cutoff. I know when I worked for my husband for a number of years, our children, who were teenagers at the time, really used to give us a ticking off at the dinner table when we were talking about work issues. That really brought me up short. Yeah, this is supposed to be family time. And that was a real reality check. So, yeah, good on you, Beck's daughter.
Well, thank you so much today, Joe. If you've
you,
enjoyed this live stream, please do give us a thumbs up. Again, if you're watching this on the catch up, please do write any comments, any questions you've got, introduce yourselves, your business, and please do have a look. All the links to Joe's workshop that's coming up and her 10 top tips as well. The links are all in the comments. So please do have a look at those. And just again, thank you so much, Joe. It's been really, really, really valuable today. I know I've got a few tips out of these. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your social media content. Do follow Jo on social media. She's really, really active. So it's great to see she shares lots and lots of tips. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do like and subscribe to my channel. I am here most Mondays at 12:30, but not for the next 3 weeks due to bank holidays and Easter. But I will see you back towards the end of April, live at 12:30, sharing lots of social media hints and tips. Right, well, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.